Hello everyone and welcome back to JDD TV. I'm your host Josh, and today we have a match preview for you for the upcoming game between Canada and Bahrain that is taking place this Friday. It will be a very intriguing matchup because in this camp there will be some players that will be competing just for a roster spot, and for others will be getting important minutes leading up to the World Cup. I will break down which players I think are which, the starting 11, and basically explain to you why this match can be so important. So hopefully you guys are excited, and if you are, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and let's get into my preview now. Alright everyone, so to kickstart this preview, I'm going to tell you why this match is so important. So this is an all North American camp with the exception of Liam Fraser, who plays for Deans in the Belgian 2nd Division. Every other player in this camp plays in Major League Soccer, and their seasons are all over. They finished a few weeks ago, close to a month ago, or some of them is just wrapped up. But the main purpose of this camp is to get these players some meaningful training sessions, some competitive match minutes, and get them on form and in shape leading up to the World Cup. So when taking a look at this roster, it's made up of 21 players, and at the time of recording, Maxime Crépeau just fractured his leg. He will not be a part of this camp. I don't know if they're going to put a third keeper in this squad or not, but either way, it's James Pantemis and Dane St. Clair. I expect there to not be an added keeper, but at the time of recording, there's not. So let's take a look at the match and why maybe Bahrain. Bahrain is ranked 85th in the world right now, which is a decent opposition for a Canada North American side like this. But the important thing, and I thought this was very clever from John Herdman, is the fact that, I mean, with a quick Google search, in Bahrain right now, which is in Asia, it's 32 degrees today. They're going to be playing a World Cup in Qatar. I looked at the temperature, they're very similar. It's 32 degrees right now in Qatar as well. So giving these players some experience in those conditions with that heat is a fantastic way to just basically get them to be experienced in this atmosphere, in this environment. I really liked that. I thought that was very clever. And again, 85th in the world is not too bad. This will be a decent competitive match for this side, and will give hopefully Herdman an idea to take a look at the players that he wants to go to Qatar and give them some experience, because there are a lot of important Major League Soccer players for Canada. So this is the perfect opportunity for that. And like I mentioned, I mean, the TFC players, Whitecaps players, they did not make playoffs, which means their season ended on decision day on October the 9th. So that right now, it's November 7th when I'm recording this, that's basically a month without playing. So this camp could not be more important for those players, and even the CF Montreal guys, because there's going to be 5 or 6 potentially going to the World Cup now, and they have had a fantastic season. They had a couple matches in playoffs, but they still need to keep that up, keep the form going. So that is why Bahrain, that is why it's a decently competitive side, and will hopefully give this team some experience playing in this environment and playing against a decent side. So the fun thing right now is taking a look at this squad and trying to put together a starting 11. Now trust me, I've gone back and forth on reasons why I think some systems would work, some players would work, and I'm a little stumped. So I'm going to come up and kind of explain to you guys why I went with this starting 11. But the objective for John Herdman, and he's kind of mentioned it, is he wants to give basically the players that he knows will be going to the World Cup minutes, and that makes sense. I mean, let's use a player like Akinola, for example. Just spoiler alert, I don't think I'm going to include Akinola in my starting 11 because I don't see him going to the World Cup. And for that reason, what's the point of giving him a ton of minutes when you need to find a way to get these players fit? Now, it's tricky because of certain positions, and I'll explain why in a sec, but I have been kind of down this rabbit hole, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to expect the starting 11 to look like this. So the formation is going to be the 3-4-2-1. I'm going with one striker, two kind of dual 10s, the two midfielders, and I'll get into that in a sec. So in goal, because of Maxime Crépeau's injury, I would have assumed he would have started, but now it's going to be Dane St. Clair. That is clear. James Pantemis will more than likely be the third keeper going to the World Cup, but St. Clair will be in net for Canada. At right wing back, I was going back and forth to see if I wanted Alistair Johnston playing there. He plays there for CF Montreal. It would allow to get, and you'll see what I mean in a sec, a couple extra center backs that I think will be going to the World Cup on the pitch, but the fact is that Alistair Johnston, when playing for Canada, is one of the most important players, and he plays as mainly an outside right center back / he can shift over to right back. You don't really see him as a wing back. You have different players to play there, and including a player, Richie Larea. I was going to maybe switch Larea over to the left wing back roles and play them both there, but what's the point? Richie, if he's going to play, more than likely will feature as a right wing back or right back, because you have Atakubi and even Davies who are going to be playing as a left back or left wing back on the other side. and it just makes sense. So for the right wing back role, I'm going to go with Richie Larea, and at outside right center back, I'm going to go with Alistair Johnston, because again, both these players I could see getting significant minutes, obviously, at the World Cup, and both of them will be playing in their correct roles. That leaves the central center back position, and I've gone with Daniel Henry. Personally, I'd like to see Joel Waterman there. I think that'd be a great opportunity to see it, but this is one match. Daniel Henry, in my eyes, and basically if you listen to what Herdman says, he's the man. He's going to the World Cup, so you might as well play him. He plays at his best in the back of a back three, dead center with support on both sides. And as much as I would like to see Joel Waterman, because I think he'll be one of those bubble players, Joel Waterman may be left behind, Daniel Henry will not. So you put him as that central center back position where we see the best out of Daniel Henry. At outside left center back, it's not much of a debate. It's Kamal Miller. He'll more than likely, similar to Alistair Johnston, be starting, and starting more than likely in those roles. Then we go to the left wing back role, and this is why I wanted to maybe play Richie over there and squeeze in Joel Waterman, but it's a debate of who is going to go to the World Cup. Joel Waterman, maybe Raheem Edwards. I think Edwards doesn't really have as good as an opportunity as Waterman does, but again, if you're looking to get players these important minutes leading up, Joel Waterman probably won't play at the World Cup. And if Edwards goes, he probably won't either. But you know Alistair Johnston will, and you know Richie Larea will, so you might as well play them in the positions that you want to see them feature at the World Cup. For that reason, at left wing back, there's only really one option if you're not going to play Richie there, and that is Raheem Edwards. So that rounds out my back five, all players, I believe, going to the World Cup, except for possibly Raheem Edwards. And then you get into midfield, and then there's one wild card in here, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it in the comments section. I was torn. I mean, Samuel Piette will be one of the midfielders for sure, but I was going to put him beside Mark Anthony Kaye. But in my eyes, for Liam Fraser to leave Dians right now, who are basically playing throughout the World Cup because they're in the second division of Belgium, he had to have some type of conversation with his management, with John Herdman, something to allow him to leave early. John Herdman wouldn't have pushed for that if he didn't think that Liam Fraser had an opportunity. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, I don't obviously see any way that Mark Anthony Kaye isn't going to go to the World Cup. I don't think he's going to play a significant role as much anymore because he's fallen completely out of form. But Liam Fraser has always performed really well for Canada, and with Atiba's injury, Osorio's potential injury, like there are some question marks. A little depth there would be nice. I was really torn, but I think I am going to go with Liam Fraser alongside Samuel Piette. Again, I do think that Kaye will go to the World Cup and probably has a better chance over Fraser, but I don't know. And at the same time, I mean, Liam Fraser's also playing. He's playing right now. He is fit. Mark Anthony Kaye is not, and that's another thing in the back of my mind. Well, that's another reason to play him, but I've gone with it. I just think there's something, a bit of a wild card-is around Liam Fraser, and that's why I'm going to slot him in there beside Samuel Piette. I do think that Herdman rates him, and Mark Anthony Kaye right now, he'll go, but I just think he's going to be one of those guys on the outside looking in. Then we move up to our two center attacking mids, and we have Jonathan Osorio and we have Ismail Kone. Jonathan Osorio's injury at time of recording seems like it's going to be okay, and he's going to play. I got him beside Ismail Kone because I personally believe that Ismail Kone could start a match in Qatar. I've said it multiple times, and I still believe it. Those two dual 10s is going to be fantastic. I'd love to see what they play together. Ismail Kone's played that role a lot when playing for CF Montreal. Osorio is just a natural 10. I think they could have some good chemistry bouncing off each other, and one or the other will probably have a decently significant role. It'll depend. Kone will probably get more minutes if Jonathan Osorio isn't fit. And then that leaves one striker up front, and that's Lucas Cavallini. Whether you rate Akinola more than Cavallini, not really the point. The point is we're pretty sure that Cavallini will be going to the World Cup. He needs these minutes. This is an opportunity to do it, so you play that lone striker role. And that is the starting 11 I came up with. The biggest question marks, like I said, is whether it's Kaye or Fraser starting alongside Piette, or whether it's going to be Edwards or Waterman in that starting 11. Very curious. This is a really intriguing camp for me. I can't wait to see what Herdman is going to do, how he's going to focus on it. I mean, he likes playing those two striker systems. Could he find a way to drop them all and even start Akinola? I don't know, but if I'm looking at the players that I think are going to the World Cup, these are the guys. Get them the minutes that they need. Play in a system and play in a position that will give them the best opportunity to, go to this environment, play how they're going to hopefully play at the World Cup, and get them fit. So now to end off this video, I definitely want you guys to know if you agree with my starting 11 and my points as well, but I want to take a look at some players to keep an eye on. And for me, really, there's two. I know what you're going to get from Alistair Johnston and for Kamal Miller and those type of guys, But the two names I want to keep an eye on is one, Liam Fraser, and it makes sense. I've kind of mentioned that he's a wild card because he's the only European-based player to be in this North American camp, but there's got to be something there, especially knowing we don't know exactly how fit Atiba is. He's recently made the bench for Besiktas. I mean, Jonathan Osorio's injured, like I mentioned. We are a little light in that. David Wallerspoon, maybe he's not quite ready. I think this is an opportunity for Liam Fraser, and I really do think John Herman wants to take a look to see what Fraser is made of. So if he gets that start over Mark Anthony Kaye, this could be a giant opportunity for Fraser to put down a claim to make this side. I've always rated his performances for Canada. He's always sneakily been good. And the other player I'm really going to focus on is Ismail Kone, because Kone has obviously taken a giant step this season. He's been fantastic for CF Montreal. There's a great chance that after this World Cup, he will be going to Europe, probably England. And like I mentioned, depending on Osorio and his injury and whatnot, I think there's a really good opportunity that Ismail Kone could start a World Cup match. So in this game, I mean, if you're going to see them play beside each other, that would be perfect, because then John Herman gets to get a look at them playing together, see what they each bring, and maybe one has a little bit better of a shift that could maybe sway Herman to start one over the other in the World Cup, because I don't believe both will start. So for me, those are the two main guys I want to keep an eye on for different reasons, but it should be a very, very fun camp. I'm excited to do the watch along. Hopefully we'll see you guys do it and join me for it. And of course, after we'll be doing our 5 takeaways. So let me know down in the comment section if you agree with the starting 11 and if there's any other players that you think should start / any players that you're going to be keeping a special eye on, maybe Raheem Edwards. I definitely want to hear from you guys down below. And if you enjoyed this preview, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub as well, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, friends.